Hey, Shalom Markin, this is Rikar Makapashim, Jim East London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Chachadash. When I give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the whole elect, pushing the truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video. And, I'm going to title this one, Trump's all about that martial law, man. You know, Trump's the guy, man. He's the dude. A lot willing, you know. Because he got the cojones to do all these crazy and unfavorable things, right? Considering what's going on in Los Angeles right now, and you know these things that they're starting to spread to different states. Pretty wanting to bring the National Guard in, and you know Trump bringing in Marines and that kind of stuff to manage the situation, man, with these protesters and these immigration crackdowns or whatever. All right, yeah, he got the cojones to do it, man. You know, and like we've been saying, man, you know, Trump is Nero in the reincarnation, man. All right, so you know he a bit crazy, right? I know when he gonna bring America to where it needs to be, man, for it to be destroyed, man. Right? But he doing everything right. He doing everything right on the left hand side. Okay, so but yeah, you know. He ain't afraid to do it. So, hey, Lord willing, you know, he gonna be the fulfiller of all these prophecies, man. That's gonna mean the downfall of America. All right, that's what we're waiting for. I say, Lord willing, Trump's that dude, man. You know, but just to speak on this a little bit, as it develops, I guess. Right, we got Trump ordering in these Marines to help bolster the National Guard and all that kind of stuff, right? Because you got protests out there going, happening. And man, setting curfews though. This article here said that LA curfew lifts as more U.S. cities brace for protests, right? So they just lift the curfew, but you look at this article here. Sees about LA police enforce curfew, right? So that was 6 hours ago. This was 6 hours ago. Apparently, this was 13 minutes ago, right? So, curfews are going up and coming down or whatever, but curfews have been put on, which is all part of biblical prophecy, and we know Esau's preparing, and this is all part of the preparation, man. Bringing enforcement in, okay, putting curfews in, bringing the military in, right? Because this is gonna play a bigger role in the future, right? And basically, these devils are just pushing the boundaries right now. They're pushing the boundaries right now, man, because they're going to really do this, man, on a big scale, okay, in the time to come. Right, this is just one state that's going on currently, but as we're seeing, most U.S. Cities brace for these protests, right? This is going to be going on. Oh, let's open this article if I can. I'll open it, right? This is get out of here. From the New York Times, right? Live updates. Cities across U.S. brace for fresh protests as Marine prepared to deploy in L.A., right? So, let me just read it, right? California's governor condemned President Trump for a brazen abuse of power, right? So, as all these politicians, man, they're, for lack of better words, at each other's throat right now. They're in disagreements. Again, showing you the division of their nation, right? Which is all part of biblical prophecy, right? How can Satan's house stand if he's going to be divided, right? So this is all bad omens, right? Basically for America, right? This is California's governor condemned President Trump for a brazen abuse of power, and this is what we need. This is what we need from him, from Trump, from the president of the United States, right? Because he's going to have to abuse that power to get us where we are, where we need to be in prophecy. So we need a character like this that's going to do that, right? And like I said, Trump seems to be fitting the shoes, This is brazen abuse of power in sending military forces. Protests over federal immigration raids spread to cities across the country, and more are expected on Wednesday. All right. Another state was talking about them calling down National Guard to help the police forces for more protests in different states. Let's see here. Let me read this. The cities across the United States were bracing for a new round of immigration protests on Wednesday after the Los Angeles mayor imposed overnight curfews. Right, so curfews being, were being put up. Right, because we're gonna get some scriptures, that cover all these, different talking points. Right. It says imposed an overnight curfew downtown, and Governor Gavin Newsom of California blamed President Trump for unrest that began with deportations raised last week. All right. This is what do you say? Let me get a sentence. Let me read it. Said the curfew brought quiet to downtown Los Angeles, where 5 days of protests over federal immigration raids have occasionally turned violent, but tensions remained high after the U.S. military announced that 700 Marines would join National Guard troops in the city on Wednesday. A spokeswoman for the U.S. military's Northern Command said that the Marines would help protect federal property and personnel, including immigration enforcement agents. All right, so we've been seeing this. That's what's going on. There was one. One dude was saying, let's see. It's like, yeah. There was another article that I did see briefly where a guy was speaking about, getting prepared in other states, right? So he's looking at, these issues occurring in other states. So it's not just going to be in California and that these things might actually spread, and yeah, we love to see it, man. Lord willing, it does, because then Trump, he gonna give him more reasons for Trump to do what he's gonna do. All right, but like I said, this is all more of a bit of a pretense to how things are gonna kind of unfold in the latter times, So let me get some of this, right? Some of these scriptures, starting with Revelation 12 and 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he have but a short time." Right? So Esau's going to come hard and heavy, man. Come heavy-handed with it, right? Because he's running out of time. These elites want to get their things in place. All right, so they have to push on with the agenda swiftly. Okay, so every opportunity, man, that arises, man, they best believe they're gonna make the most of it. All right, so they're gonna come hard, man. They're gonna come like that dragon, draconian. Okay, it's Ezekiel 21 verse 9. It says, "Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. Right? It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth?" Okay, this isn't, this ain't time for, bashment raves. You know what I'm saying? All the partying and the bullshitting and, this is not evidently a time, that's like that. Things is happening on the earth, man. Serious things. All right, especially for these man, it's serious time right now. It's not, not a time for partying and bullshitting. We're coming to the end, right? Pardon me. Right, it says, "Should we then make mirth? And contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and ye have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer." Right. So again, going back to those the Jade Helm days, when the elders and apostles were covering all the what were they called, man? Those the men were practicing, right, for civil unrest, right, on home soil, right? Because all this talk about immigration, what happens when when the United States government turns on its own people, because you're being you're what's the word I'm looking for now? Shit, you're being dissentful, right? That ain't a word, but at least I don't think it is, right? When you ain't listening, when you're going against the government, okay, when you're protesting and you become the target, the crosshairs fall upon you, man, because they say you're damaging property. Like this guy ain't got no problems with sending the military after you, man. He ain't got no problems. Oh, we need to protect the these personnel and the property. He ain't got no problem sending no military in. You know, you don't care what your governor says. You know, you don't care what the state says. Okay, he is the head honcho as far as he's concerned, man. And if you want to do something, you're gonna do it. You ain't gonna be told no. Right? And like I say, he's the type of character that this world needs, right, to fulfill prophecy, right, to bring America to its end, right, and we have such a character in office right now. So that is beautiful. Kahal Yabashim Shai. All right, so it says, it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contempteth the rod of my son as every tree, and they have given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. Right? There's going to be a lot of death that's going to come out, from the hands of these, these so-called, law enforcers and all that, right? These military. Right, he'll establish martial law. He'll put the curfews on. If you ain't abiding, man, you're gonna be arrested. You're gonna be, treated as a T to the ist, the terrors, right? You're gonna be treated as that. You might get shot on spot. All these things may happen or will happen. Not even may, it will happen, right? Because that is the kind of atmosphere that's being built up right now, right? You Americans are becoming the terror to the ist, right? Of your own people, or not to your people necessarily, but to the government, right? So in the eyes of the government, you are a problem. All right, you're the same as these immigrants. You're the same as these cartels and whatever, man. Right? If you want to rise up, in dissent against the government, right? Then you're going to be categorized and deemed as one of them, right? And then you're gonna fall into the same boat that we're already in, man. Deemed as hate groups and all this type of business, on that list, right? That we fully know that they put us on it, that we're on their list of things to watch over, all right, to take care of, right? If you know what I'm saying. So he's preparing for this time, and this is just another exercise, in order to, for the big event. All right. So this is 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 70. It says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." Right. So, like I said, we all know this as threats that need to be taken care of by the government and so on. We know that. All right. So that sword is going to be pointing towards us at some point. Okay, among the midst of other things that are going to be going on, right? Because they're just going to brand us, these labels they like to brand us with, right? They're not really going to address specific issues or specific talking points. They're not going to address them, right? Because they don't want to give it any real traction like that. But it's going to do that anyway. As soon as you come for the Hebrew Israelites, man, it's like, well, we ain't doing nothing. Why are you coming for us? Oh, because we teach about the downfall of your kingdom. Well, you're doing it. You're the ones doing it, and we ain't doing that. You're the one doing all the work, all the fucking legwork. We're just prophesying, man. So it's gonna gain traction anyway. And the elect are gonna see and hear and be converted and believe. And be sealed. All right. So you're gonna fail at trying to manage that. All right, regardless of what you do to us. Whether you catch us or whatever the case may be, kill us, whatever, you're going to only fail. All right. But yeah, you're going to come up against us, man, with all this power that you've got, all this power that you're abusing, right? Because Trump ain't supposed to be doing what he's doing, but he's doing it anyway. He's been called out for abusing his power. Now, again, that's what he's going to do. And that's the time that's coming, And I say, Lord willing, it is this dude, man, because that means that, this is going to have to happen all fairly shortly, in the time of his reign at least. All right. Otherwise, we have to start looking for some other guy that's going to do all this, right? But Trump is a well-fitted puppet, right? Because that's what he is, right? A well-fitted puppet to do these things, right? So, Lord willing, man, this won't go on for too long, Our salvation is nearer than we believe, man. We could be out of this thing, man. So, Lord willing, as he pushes on with the agenda he's been given, Verse 71 says, "They shall be like madmen, sparing none. but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, right? So, like I said, these men are gonna get violent, man. Esau's gonna get violent. All right, like I said, they've been preparing, for this for a long time. And people, laughing about the martial law thing, back in the day, with all the Jade Helm exercises going on, but that all fits what's going on today. Them men were preparing, practicing for insurrection on home turf, man, from their own people. But what's happening now? Your own people being targeted, as well as so-called immigrants and whatever. Right? You're all kind of being grouped together. You're all violent. You just need to go to Guantanamo, because they're opening these things up. They're opening up these different sites, black sites, and all these different things, right? And they're gonna end up putting you people in there. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another." Right? Sedition is being created. Right? They shall not regard their kings or princes, okay, which is their authorities, man. Right? They're gonna fight somewhat, not all, but some are gonna fight against their governments. Okay? All these protesters, all these types of people. Right? You're gonna have people for the government and against the government for what they're doing, and they're all gonna clash. They're all gonna clash, man. All these patriots or whatever, they're all gonna clash. Right? You're gonna have the race riots, the class riots, the class wars, and all that kind of, you're gonna have all of that. Because civil unrest is being promoted in that country, man. Okay, and it's coming from the head seat, the civil unrest, right? It's not just these average people that are being are setting it up. It's the guys from the top. They're setting it up. All this tension, all this sedition. They're setting it up because that's what they want, right? And that's what we want. So we're not gonna sit there and say you don't do it. Stop. We can tell you to stop. Keep going. Okay, because the quicker you bring down this place, man, the better, man. Yahweh Shai can return it and really take you out. I don't mean to dinner, right? You're gonna take you out, right, out of the picture, right? Take your power away from you. Okay. This is they shall not regard the kings or princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right, because of the curfews. Right? I say Trump was throwing out curfews. Supposedly he's taking them off now. Right? But they were there. Right? He did it. And he said it was quiet. He said it was quiet while the curfews were on. I think it was like from 8 in the evening to like 6 in the morning or something like that. It was quiet. The man wasn't allowed to be out. If man was found to be out, man was arrested. So that's hey, we saw some of that during COVID. During the pandemic, we saw some of that go on. All right, so it's being it's being enforced, it's being done, it's being pushed more and more. Okay, or we did it during the pandemic. Well, guess what? We probably do it now. They're looking to do it more for other reasons, for more reasons. Right, and once they set precedents, they could do it again and again. Because you've allowed it to happen before. Nothing. Not enough of a backlash. Right, but the more you backlash, the more they justify the reason to do it. So it's catch-22. You can't. There's nothing really you could do to stop it, man. This is the Lord's will. At the end of the day, this is the Lord's program, right? And He's going to come down with the hammer, right? He's going to crush those that rise up against Him, man. Right? Because he got an agenda. He got an agenda that he wants to fulfill, and he want to do it quickly because he have a short time. Right? So he's going to come with the wrath, the draconian ways. Right? Speak like a dragon. Right? Okay. That's all I want from that. So, it's Revelation 13 and 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? That's good. That's not really heard of these, during normal times, right? They don't just go around, government just don't go around usually destroying people in the open and stuff. That's what the CIA is for, and MI5 and 6 and shit, you know. But these men are just gonna, ruthlessly just take man out. If you don't want to, abide by what's being said, you don't want to follow rules or instructions, right? You don't take that mark, right? Because you're gonna have, you have the opportunity to take it. He's gonna say, look, man, you gotta take it, right? You want to eat and all that kind of stuff, you gotta take it. But you're gonna have people that are gonna push back hard on it, right? Because they're not gonna trust the government, right? You're gonna have those that don't trust the government but don't see any other way and just take it. You're gonna have those that just don't trust the government at all, man, because look what the shit's going on. Look what stuff's going on, man. These people are already riled up, man. They don't want to trust the government with anything. All right, so a lot of these people are going to push back, right? And Esau's not going to play games in that time. If you want to fight, if you want to resist, or resist this lead, resist this bullet, that's what it's going to be. All right. So yeah, this Trump is the character, man. Lord willing, that's going to have all this spirit, be out there like that. Right, he can just get the orders, man. Yeah, hit them all, get them all, delete them all. Yeah, no winning, man. Okay, because this is what we want to see. We want to see these prophecies be fulfilled, man. And it's going to take a particular type of character to really bring this in, right? The Lord, the Spirit on, right? I might as well read verse 16 here. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand on their foreheads, right? Which is funny because he's meant to be, anti-government, anti-deep state and all this kind of stuff, but he's doing the deep state's work. He gonna make sure you get chipped. He gonna make sure that you obey, man. Right, with his iron fist, like, so yeah. He doing that work, man. All right. Let's see what I think I've got one left here. 2 Ezra chapter 9, right, verse 1. And he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when thou shalt be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? These protests are uproars, right? And then, these are, we've been speaking this for a while, and these protests are not going away. There's always something. They're not going away, but we're in that time of just chaos. Just chaos, man. So these are the signs that we're supposed to be watching for. And it don't matter like, oh yeah, well, it's gone on for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It don't matter, man. The fact is you're in that time. It doesn't matter how long it lasts, right? The fact that it's observable and it's happening, okay? Because remember, we've been in the last days since the Lord showed up, man. And so these things are going to be happening. But we can tell we're getting right close to the end now, considering everything that's going on right now and everything that has happened already. Right, that mark of the beast isn't far away, and you can see it really. Right, the system that Esau is creating. Right, that is the last piece of the puzzle, man. And once he's got you, accepting his mark, that's it. That prophecy concerning the mark is fulfilled, man. Right, and all that needs to happen is the judgment. Right, the destruction. Right, but you can see how Esau is moving towards, putting everybody on a fucking digital database and hooking you up via that chip. Controlling all your money for CBDCs and blockchain and all these types of things. Esau's got you there, man. And how he's gonna turn on the people. Look at what's going on. Right, he's ready. He's doing it. He's turning on the American people because he's treating you like a bunch of fucking, errors, right? Because you're resisting his will, or he's going to say the American people's will, because they voted him in to sort out immigration, right? And you man are resisting him, so you're just as bad as all these other groups, man. That these Americans got on these specific lists, So again, when that sword is pointing at the American people, what's going to happen? What's that? Brothers were chatting in the group about that movie Civil War, man. And it mentioned, brother mentioned that that whole thing kind of kicked off with California and Texas, that uprising. against the president and stuff, man. So it's funny, you know. We always tell you this shit scripted, you know, spiritually, and Esau thinks, you know, he writing the script, but you know, it's just, you know, I'm just saying, you know, it's funny, right? And we don't believe in coincidence over here, but you know, a lot of people are just gonna say, oh, it's just a movie. Well, is it? All these subliminals that are being sent, okay, and that are manifesting. This is why we're told to watch for the signs, because the signs are manifest. I'll carry on reading. So therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, right? So this whole thing has only been scripted, right? That's why we got the scriptures, right? It's all been planned out, right? But it's manifesting in its time. Okay, Habakkuk 2 and 3, right? I might as well grab that in a minute. So for as light as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, right? Things are manifesting, right? Just like, you know, just like these movies, they ain't just movies, man. Yeah, you know, it was shown on the big screen, people make some money off it and that, but look at the messages, look what's happening. Is it reactive or is it active, or however you want to put it, or prophetic in a way? Did they know it was going to happen because they got plans to do it, or is it just something that's come on, man? There's no coincidence, man. All right, these things are subliminals, man, to kind of get your mind used to the idea that ultimately is what the future is going to be. A lot of the time, I'm not saying every time, but a lot of the time, you know. And that civil war well, there we go. You know, it's an example, okay, for what's happening right now. All right, so we don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe the whole scenario plays out where someone's trying to, you know, X off the president. Maybe the whole thing plays out. Maybe it don't. But at least some parts of it will come to pass. You know, and this is what we're seeing. All right, because we're not saying, you know, everything in these sort of movies is true, but you know, there's elements and, you know, main underpinnings of things that's going on that he puts in these movies, man. All right, so we have to consider these things, man. Especially when we read the scriptures, it all lines up. It all lines up, man. All right, because this is, you know, the scriptures come first. Okay, the scriptures comes first, man. All right, this is the book of prophecy. Okay. So verse 6. So even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder, in powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. All right. Habakkuk 2:3. Yeah. All right, it's Habakkuk 2 verse 3 says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, meaning it shall manifest. Right. So even these things, you know, we've been speaking about for years, hasn't manifested maybe necessarily up until this point, right? Because it hadn't happened or hasn't happened yet, don't mean it's not going to happen, right? All you got to do is wait a bit longer and you'll see it. You'll see that what we're saying is true, because everything that we've been speaking about has come to pass, right? Even things that couldn't be seen all the way back then, you know, with the martial law, with the MOTB and, you know, things of this nature, right? People couldn't see that, they couldn't perceive a day or a situation where that would occur, right? But things change, right? And this is the thing, things change, right? Prophecy gets fulfilled, it manifests, so things have to change, right? And this is what we're witnessing in the earth. Okay, a great shift, a great change, right? This nation, this Edomite nation, this Edomite kingdom, okay, is on its way out. Okay, and the way things go out is never, it doesn't go out, man, in glory. It goes out sad, right? You look at all these empires before, it gets messy, man. Before it falls, it gets messy, and this is what we're witnessing. Because Esau thinks he's going to capitalize of the fall of this kingdom, so he can set up his new one. That's not how it's going to go down, right? Yahushua is going to come and make sure you don't rise again, man. Right? Once you fall, you're going to stay down, never to rise again. All right. So yeah, I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, this has been edifying. As I will keep an eye on the situation as it goes, and you know, bros be doing their videos and stuff on it. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes, you know. Till you know, yeah. So yeah, until next time, man. I'm gonna say shalom, man. Kal halal yabashim yawashai b'shem kal kodash. Shalom, double honors unto the elders, the apostles, GMS, and shalom out there to the hopeful that's out there teaching the truth in all sincerity, man. Until next time, I say shalom.